but it's also a real location. It's the highest peak in Greece, rising nearly 10,000 feet above sea level. And it's a natural setting for supernatural powers.
The Greeks really believed that their gods actually lived physically on Mount Olympus. It was important for them to actually have a sense of where heaven was, where the gods actually resided.
It is from his home base on Mount Olympus that Zeus engineers his rebellion against Cronus and the Titans.
Zeus is going to have to get others to come in and help him out so that he can achieve supreme power.
This is the ultimate family feud. And so it is to his own flesh and blood that Zeus turns first. He knows his strongest allies will be his 5 siblings, the Olympians, now fully formed adults, but still trapped deep inside Cronus' stomach. If they can be liberated, the Olympians could tip the scales in Zeus's favor and help him destroy the Titans forever.
He wanted to free his brothers and sisters, so he concocted a potion.
Quietly, Zeus enters Cronus' lair and slips the drug into his nightly cup of mead. Cronus drinks it and becomes violently ill. First, he vomits up the stone his wife had given him in place of baby Zeus. According to tradition, that rock is the cornerstone of ancient Greece's most sacred site, the Temple of Delphi, home of the oracle.
Delphi is a sanctuary in Greece where people would come from all around to consult with God. It was a direct phone line up to heaven to ask the answer to anything you wanted.
To this day, thousands of years after the story was first told, the stone that Cronus supposedly vomited is still there.
At the very center of the temple complex at Delphi is an egg-shaped stone that was understood to be the exact stone that played the role of being the substitute for Zeus that Cronus swallowed. And if you go there today to the Temple of Delphi, the locals will still tell you that the stone that's there is the actual one that was in Cronus' belly.
In the myth, after throwing up the sacred stone, Cronus regurgitates Zeus's 5 siblings. And they are ready to join Zeus's revolution.
What marks Zeus as a different kind of leader from those that have come before is his intelligence. He's able to persuade and convince those around him that he should be leader, and he's able to build coalitions.
Zeus now has his siblings by his side, but he still needs more muscle to take on the Titans. And there are some other estranged members of the family who are out for revenge. Forgotten brothers of Cronus, the Cyclops, and the 100-handers. But to find them, Zeus has to go to hell.
Cronus had feared the powers of these 100-handers and the Cyclopses, and he locked them down into Tartarus. Zeus knew that if he could get their power on his side, he could marshal it to his own ends. He goes down and talks to the 100-handers and says, "I will pay you great respect. And I know that my father Cronus has mistreated you. Now I've freed you, and now you owe me." And even they are moved, and they say, "Yes, great Zeus, we realize not only are you very powerful, but you also know how to treat people well. So we appreciate that, and we will now fight on your side."
In gratitude for being liberated, the Cyclops present Zeus with a gift: the power of lightning.
Lightning is one of the most devastatingly powerful forces in nature. When lightning arcs through the air is briefly raised to a temperature that can be more than 50,000 degrees. That's 5 times the surface temperature of the sun.
The lightning bolt gives Zeus the power to rule the universe. With this lightning bolt, no one's going to be able to overthrow him.
The battle lines are drawn. The Titans will fight from Mount Arthurus, the Olympians from Mount Olympus. Between them lies the plain of Thessaly. But this isn't just a mythical battlefield.
Thessaly is actually, if we take into consideration the modern map of Greece, is the central part of Greece. It's the biggest plain and the most fertile plain in Greece, from ancient times to today.
Thessaly has a long, bloody history, stretching from the Greco-Persian Wars of the 5th century BC to the World Wars of the 20th century AD. And it is here that the ultimate battle of the gods will play out. Armed with a weapon of mass destruction and an elite fighting force, Zeus braces for an earth-shattering battle. And to this day, a real place may still bear the scars. Experts have recently determined that a real event, just as frightening, actually happened in the ancient world. About 3,600 years ago, the Greek island of Santorini experienced one of the most devastating volcanic explosions ever. Its effects were felt as far away as California.
The volcanic blast was the single largest seismic event on Earth in the last 27,000 years. To give you an idea of how massive it was, imagine a mountain about 3.5 miles tall being blown into the sky all at once.
In 2006, scientists discovered that the Santorini eruption was even larger than originally believed. Excavations uncovered deposits of volcanic ash piled 20 stories deep, blanketing a 30-mile radius around the island. Based on this evidence, it's now believed the eruption unleashed the equivalent power of 50,000 Hiroshima bombs. An explosion that powerful would have annihilated much of the Greek world. For the survivors, who knew little about how volcanoes work, it could only have been the wrath of the gods.
When the ancient myth tellers told the story of great cataclysmic battles that shook the earth, they weren't doing so in a vacuum. There had been massive seismic events that had happened in the memory of some of the earlier generations of Greeks before these myth tellers had written down their stories.
As the clash of the gods plays out in the myth, it appears Zeus is finally about to seize control of the universe. His powerful allies have tipped the balance, and the Olympians are closing in on victory. But the Titans have one last weapon at their disposal. From the depths of Tartarus, they call forth a colossal beast, Typhon.
Typhon is a tremendously strong, powerful monster that's challenging Zeus himself. It's a last gasp effort, and the final monster, the final challenge he has to put down in order to secure his reign over the universe.
It is a supernatural deathmatch, a decisive struggle between good and evil. And it will all come down to the ultimate weapon.
As Zeus and Typhon are engaged in this final epic battle, Zeus eventually gets the upper hand and wins via his lightning bolt.
With one final assault, Zeus drives Typhon and his Titan allies down into Tartarus, where they are damned to spend eternity in a fiery abyss. According to the ancients, it was across the Mediterranean, on the island of Sicily, that Zeus's enemies descended into hell through the volcanic crater of Mount Etna. Local legend says Typhon is still inside and has been behind all of the volcano's eruptions over the centuries.
Greeks used this myth as a way of explaining why lava was constantly pouring out of the volcano. They explain that as either the remnants of Zeus's lightning constantly shooting out, or of the flames of Typho, who's still breathing just a little bit, exploding flame out of the center of the volcano.
It is also said that Typhon causes destructive windstorms. In fact, his name is the basis for the word typhoon. But in the myth, the storm clouds are broken for the time being. Zeus's victory over his father makes him the king of the gods, the absolute ruler of the universe.